But Drew, why don't you go first? Who's a guy that you are higher on than I am, and that you're really outraged that I hate this player?
Well, I think that a player that I am higher on than you, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm outraged that you are wrong about how good the player is.
Yeah. I am one of the losers and haters, of which there are many. Yeah.
So I think the guy I'm going to pick is actually someone that I don't particularly think is awesome. So it's kind of an interesting choice, I would say. But the guy I'm going to pick is Cam Akers, and I'm a little astonished that you would be this low on Cam Akers, because Cam Akers is not expensive. He's RB 28 on Fantasy Calc right now. Roughly what is that, like I think that's a second round pick, mid-second round pick value, or base second round pick value,
or early to. Yeah, I think he's up to an early second round pick there, and I have him ranked for reference at RB 35, and I have that as being worth a 1/4 base 1, which I have as a late 2/early 3 valuation
on Cam Akers.
On Cam Akers.
We confirm we're talking about the same player here.
We were talking about Cam Akers.
That's a player they've gone back to time and time again late in the season to just bell cow his way to stardom for 4 weeks in the playoffs.
Why don't we start? Why don't you read your blurb first from the site? I'll read my blurb.
I don't even have my blurb up.
Oh, well, I'll read mine first. I say that Akers has played the best football of his career over the last month of 2022 and has a shot to lead this backfield in 2023. However, I'm still judging his talent based on the larger sample for now, which is why he's below the tier 6 backs in these rankings. Those backs being Isaiah Pacheco, AJ Dillon, and Khalil Herbert. So,
all right. Well, that is completely wrong, and I'm embarrassed to have you besmirching the good name of Sweating Bullets with that kind of analysis. So what I said was I find myself looking at Cam Akers right now and thinking, well, why not Cam Akers? And that is kind of asking a lot from the dude, but he's also being priced at RB 28 in Dynasty right now and is currently projected for a lead dog role on a team that is only 1 year removed from the Super Bowl, with a typo there. It actually says Super Bowl. I apologize to the masses. And that was able to field one of the best offenses in all of football. When I say things like it's all upside from here, Cam Akers is exactly the type of bet I'm talking about, because it is literally all upside from here. If Cam Akers just holds his role, not even like is good, not even talking about him being good at football, just like being the lead dog in the offense, he's gonna outproduce his ADP. If he holds his like super bell cow role and is actually kind of good at football, he's gonna smash his ADP. So I just don't really see why we wouldn't want to buy in on that. We're now 2 years removed from the Achilles tendon tear, which I don't know, like basically everyone dies after they tear the Achilles tendon. It is literally like, Greece 3,000 years ago, or whenever the poor guy had his Achilles struck with an arrow. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like I don't know why you wouldn't want to just take a swing on this. Like there's absolutely, like if you light your RB 28 on fire in your fantasy football league, it's not a big deal. It's just really not. And you don't have to hope that he doesn't get it. Like you don't have to hope that the guy in front of him gets hurt. You just have to hope that he's healthy. Like that's all you have to hope for. That's it. That's the only thing. He's like Miles Sanders last year. It was just like, well, I hope that he's healthy, and then we're fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's my point. It's like Miles Sanders last year in terms of like Miles Sanders had this really good season, and everybody's feeling great about Miles Sanders now, and like he's like worth about the same as he was before. Like his best ball ADP last year was round 8, and then everybody spent the year being like, oh my god, how did we let this guy fall to round 8? And then it's like you look at his ADP right now, and it's round 8. And it's kind of the same in Dynasty. He was like a guy who was worth a second round pick, and now he's a guy who's worth a second round pick. Because he didn't really have that ceiling. He didn't really catch a whole lot of passes. He got a lot of rushing volume, and he ran the occasional route, and he was good. Like he helped your team. And look, anytime that you can, buy a guy, net his production, and he essentially holds his value, that's like a win for a veteran, right? On average, a veteran loses value, and what you're paying in that value loss is the production in the near term. So that's certainly a positive outcome. But I'm not like sitting here, crying about not having Miles Sanders on any teams. And I think the question is like, does Cam Akers have a potential to be either special as a football player or special as a fantasy player? And I mean, like, he played really good for a month this year. That's the only month really that he's played consistently well from a like football perspective. Like even dating back to his rookie year, he was not a particularly efficient running back. He got a lot of volume. That's fine. We don't really need rookie running backs to be particularly efficient historically. Not going to knock him a ton for that. But like really it took until those last 4 games for him to show much of anything as a high-level rusher. If you look over the course of his full season, he was still below average. And I don't really want to get too caught up into the splits game, even though I acknowledge that definitely coming off the injury, there's a possibility that, that really painted the picture of him getting way better. Larger concern is like we've still never seen him in a NFL football game really have much of a receiving upside. He has 1 game in his career, and it wasn't even a fantasy eligible game. It was week 17 of his rookie year where he had 4 targets. Other than that, his career high is 3 targets in a single NFL game. So that's tough, or at least regular season. Maybe he beat that in the playoffs. I don't have his playoff stats in front of me, but that's a tough sell for me in terms of a guy that, I view him similar to other running backs this cycle where they may hold their job, they may get a job. I don't know. They're very much on the running back roulette wheel in terms of being highly precarious starters. And of the ones that I want to invest in, I'd rather invest in the ones that I see as either being self-insulating in terms of their talent or having the receiving upside where if things hit, it's a guy I really want to bet on. And I see Cam Akers as neither. I think, there's really 2 outcomes for me that are logical with this, is that either they add a receiving running back to pair with Cam Akers and be a change of pace guy, or they just outright replace him. And I think both of those, or they bring in like competition and they let the better man win, whatever else. But I'd be really surprised if we're looking at a guy at this point in his career who's like a standout bell cow star. And so at an early 2 type of price point, I'm just not very interested. And there's other guys that I'd rather bet on that I think are a little bit fresher and more interesting.
How are you getting early 2 price tag? Like where are you drawing it that it's an early 2? Maybe I'm using the site wrong.
I think I'm going mostly off of like KTC and like general market vibes. I mean, it's hard to get like an accurate count of like exactly what the market is for a guy. Right now we have Cam Akers on KTC at least. He's essentially an early 2. He's like 3607. Early 2 is like 37. If you want to say mid 2, that's fine. We can do mid 2. He's well above a mid 2 on KTC. Closer to an early 2.
Yeah, I was going mid 2. At early 2, like I think he's probably fairly priced. I'm probably not like going out to try to acquire him for a mid 2. I'm also probably not like super urgently trying to sell him at a mid 2. I think that's like where he should probably be valued. But yeah, I was definitely looking at mid 2 and thinking I would sell my mid 2 to get Cam Akers and just like let it.
Yeah, I mean that's fair enough. I mean we're gonna like when I'm doing this like in terms of the at cost, like it's always hard. Like I look at Fantasy Calc, I look at Keep Trade Cut, I look at ADP, and I try to like blend it together in my mind of like what I think the value is because like there's weird ones on every site. Like if you look at Ezekiel Elliott for instance, he's like RB24 in Fantasy Calc. I promise you that's just not where he's gonna go if you do a startup today. Like there's right, and I'm not saying that to be like Fantasy Calc sucks. I think on net it's probably better than most sites, but like if you look at any one individual site, there's going to be just things where you're like, I don't think this passes the sniff test.
Okay, so I've just looked up some recent trades because I think
let's do this. I love this. Yeah, let's do this for every one of these guys we talk about. I love that.
So let me just read you the trades and then I'll say my new take.
Okay.
Ready? Cam Akers for a 2023 first round pick.
Obviously, I'm taking the first. Yeah.
So am I.
Figured.
Cam Akers and Curtis Samuel for Rashad Bateman.
So Cam Akers for Rashad Bateman. I will take Rashad Bateman, who I'm notably not a fan of. Yeah.
Wow. See, I feel like I would probably just. I think I might take Akers there.
Okay, that's fun. I like this. This is good.
Like okay, we're gonna go off topic now.
That's
into
fine.
A new topic very very briefly. But I feel like if Rashad Bateman hits, he's like he's gonna be okay. He'll be like a wide receiver 15, like kind of ceiling is probably what I would think.
Yeah. So like Cam Akers kind of. Yeah.
So like Cam Akers kind of, but I don't know. I feel like I have more faith that Cam Akers just has to get on the field and be fine. Whereas Rashad Bateman, I'm like, I don't know. I think he's probably good. He should be good.
Yeah,
but I'm a little freaked out that they didn't give him any freaking playing time last year.
Yeah, see, I'm pretty confident that Rashad Bateman's at least like good in like he's good at football sense. Like I'm very not confident that like he's good in a sense that translates to being a meaningful fantasy player. But I would say that I'm also not very confident about that for Cam Akers, but I'm less confident that he's good in the meaningless sense.
Yeah, but I think that Cam Akers doesn't have to be good. I think that's the difference for me. Where I'm like, Rashad Bateman needs to be good. Cam Akers doesn't have to be good. He just has to be in the offense. And
I mean, he doesn't have to be good to be like usable. To be like a real difference maker, he probably has to be good, or at the very least, he has to catch a lot of passes.
Like that's not his range of outcomes,
right? Because like Cam Akers to be a legitimate difference maker has to be really good because he's not going to be an 80 catch guy, right? He's not going to be like the Leonard Fournette. Oh, this guy sucks, but he catches a million passes guy. Like he's not going to be that. Like at the most, he's going to be like a 40 catch guy. So to be a difference maker, he's got to be good.
He's going to be James Conner 2 years ago. That's what he's going to be.
James Conner caught a lot of passes.
Not 2 years ago.
James Conner had like a part of the season when he was just luck boxing, like when Chase Edmonds was also there and James Conner was like Jamal Williamsing it. Then when James Conner got the offense to himself, he caught a ton of passes.
Yeah, because
after Chase Edmonds goes out, he has 5 catches, 3 catches, 5 catches, 2 catches, 9 catches, 2 catches, 6 catches.
He's a monster,
right? Cam Akers, show me the 9 catch upside, Cameron.
Well, Cam Akers doesn't have James Conner's upside. Cam Akers has James Conner splitting the backfield with Chase Edmonds upside.
Wow, that's sell me more.
He's Damian Harris with the Patriots 2 years ago. Like I think that's really Cam Akers' path to success is like being in a really good offense, scoring a ton of touchdowns, and being like maybe he'll get the third down rat.
I've never felt more comfortable about selling this player for a mid-2 than having him described like that.
James Cook or Cam Akers?
I'm gonna check who I have ranked higher. I probably have them in the same tier. I do have them in the same tier. I do have Cam Akers ranked nominally higher, but
as you should. Probably more than nominally. It should be whatever the opposite of nominally is. What's the opposite of nominal? Phenomenally?
Materially?
Materially, yeah, I love that. There's some accounting lingo for you. Okay, yeah. So like Cam Akers for Amari Cooper?
I would definitely take Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I think I would too, actually.
I mean, Amari Cooper was like first year of his life he's ever been an alpha. I'm not depending on that to continue because I don't really want to bet on LR, but like he's definitely good. Whether he's great, I don't know, but he's definitely good. And we're pretty sure Deshaun Watson's good. So I mean, and there's no target competition. So that's fun.
I think I would.
I'm targeting Amari Cooper actually. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm like lukewarm on him after looking at this. But like if it's a mid-second round pick and I'm just like on the clock and it's like I could take, I don't even know who's going in the mid-second right now, but probably somebody I'm like lukewarm on.
What it's probably going to be like whatever of the mid-tier running backs doesn't get the juicy landing spot in draft capital, right? It's going to be Tank Bigsby if he goes in the 4th to the LA Chargers, right? Like that's.
Yeah, and I just think I'd take Cam Akers over that because I already know that he's probably going to start the season at the very least in the lead dog role.
Well, maybe. Okay, how about this? Tank Bigsby. And if you don't care about Tank Bigsby, I'm just using him as like a proxy. Like it's just insert vaguely bell cowish running back. I don't actually like Tank Bigsby, but Tank Bigsby / Zach Evans / whoever, Ken Raymond, whatever. Take your pick. That guy goes in the 3rd round. I don't even know if the Rams have a 3rd round pick, so this is maybe a bad hypothetical, but he goes in the 3rd round, in theory, to the Los Angeles Rams. Would you rather have insert 3rd round vaguely bell cowish running back or Cam Akers?
I'd probably still just take Cam Akers.
Okay.
I don't know.
Interesting. I'm gonna bet on door number 2.
We need to know more about the rookies, I guess.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Like if Tank Bigsby is who I think Tank Bigsby is, I'd probably take Tank Bigsby. But if Tank Bigsby is the guy that kind of like the scouting community is saying that he is,
right,
then I probably don't really want Tank.
But he's not that guy because if he's the guy that you're hoping he is, then he's not going to be available in the mid-2. So I'm saying it's someone who's not the guy that you're hoping they are, right? Like that's just
I'm probably just going to take Cam Akers and hope that I can cash out quick on a lucky touchdown stretch or something.
Right.
The Rams do have a 3rd round pick, by the way. They have a 2nd, a 3rd, and then like 3 6s.
Okay, good for them. They have all the multiples of sticks. They have okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. That is one thing Cam has going in his favor, is that the Rams have very few resources with which to replace him.
I don't think they have a lot of salary cap either, if I had to bet.
I can't imagine they have much salary cap.